I'm Karen Jull. I'm one of the directors here at Jull Properties. I oversee the property management side of our business, which includes our sustainability objectives. Jull Properties is an integrated developer, owner, and manager of high-quality space solutions here in Victoria. Our primary market segment is in office buildings. We believe in providing market-leading space solutions and have a really long-term commitment to quality, both in terms of our physical properties and in terms of how we deliver customer service. There's also an integrated nature of our business that allows us to really reflect what we learn through operations and construction in what we're doing in the field. And I think that bringing that together helps set us apart. Jull Properties developed, owns, and manages the Atrium building. For us, that building really represented a leap forward in terms of our sustainability commitments and was a new level of architectural expression. The Atrium is a 7-story AA LEED Gold office building here in the heart of downtown Victoria. It features office tenants on floors 2 through 7, and the ground floor is tenanted with a mix of locally owned retailers, restaurants, and service providers. The building features progressive, high-quality architecture and was really designed to foster a vibrant downtown community. Back in around 2007, sustainability really came onto our radar here at Jull Properties and is well aligned with wanting to be a leader in our field. It started in our existing buildings, working on a lot of energy audits and retrofits, and has grown to really impact how we build new buildings and the decisions we make in all of our capital replacement projects, such as the air source heat pump here at Atrium.
My name is Craig Lapshanoff. I'm the Senior Building Operations Manager for Jull Properties. The Atrium's original HVAC system is a VAV system with hydronic reheat coils. They are fed from a central air handler on the roof with cooling coils in them connected to a primary heat recovery system on the air side. The primary heating and cooling system is an air source heat pump with electric backup boilers. The original HVAC system performed fairly well in winter. However, in summer it struggled, especially on the hotter days of the year. We often found we had limited cooling capacity at the lower floors and a large number of tenant complaints due to solar load.
My name is Jason Finster. I'm the energy manager here at Jull Properties. Our goals with this project was to have a reliable, energy efficient heating and cooling source for the building that would help keep our tenants comfortable. Some impacts down the road that we were hoping for was some energy savings for sure, helping contribute to our GHG reduction targets as well. And then also on a maintenance side, just having something that is fairly trouble-free and lasts us for years to come. Once we had kind of an idea of what we're looking for, then we started looking at who best to carry out this work. We started looking at things with Island Temperature Controls, our main HVAC provider, and sat down with them and just said, okay, what issues do you see with this building and how can we do better with this replacement? We have good experience with SES in the past with a lot of energy studies and whatnot at several of our buildings. So we enlisted SES and we sort of said, hey, rather than a standard study, we would rather it be sort of an iterative process, working with the contractor and us and you to sort of collaborate on the entire thing.
The study found some challenges in the flow rates to the primary mechanical plant out to the air source heat pump. It also found some capacity challenges throughout the building that were just understated during the original operation of the building. We had some far more solar load than I think we initially intended. The study produced a number of options and it gave us a few variations of air source heat pumps that had recovery or didn't have recovery, and it sort of gave us this mix and match sort of solution so that we could pick the priorities that were really important to us. So the new HVAC system at Atrium is a air source heat pump with heat recovery and an additional 250-ton air-cooled chiller. The addition of a chiller provided some much-needed redundancy to our cooling system. The air source heat pump, when we looked at the heat recovery options versus the non-heat recovery options, the energy savings and payback just were too attractive to turn down. I think the payback was around 7 years, and the energy saving component of that was very significant towards meeting our energy goals. As part of the project, we also had to replace a fair amount of piping out to these 2 new units and replace the primary pumps in the building.
So when we were initially installed this building, I think it was 13 years ago, and it was one of the first air source heat pump. It was the first that we'd ever done. I'm sure one of the first in Victoria. It was very cutting edge technology, and at the time, no one knew what they know now. So in the meantime, we haven't really done a deep dive on different systems and evaluate how other people are doing it. And so in talking with SES, they said, we have some experience with a bunch of other clients that have similar systems, and we could even help you out by arranging to go have a look if you like. So we met with some folks from the city of Vancouver and had a look at some of their installations, and then also spoke with them about their experiences with the system. They've installed multiple of this style of heat pump, and they had some lessons learned of their installation as well, which helped us kind of have a little bit more confidence in what we're moving ahead with.
My name is Joel Schellenberg. I work with Jal Properties Limited here in Victoria. I'm a project manager in the construction department. I entered the project at the 90% design phase and took it through to the IFC drawings with our operations team. A brief overview of the replacement of the HVAC system at the Atrium would be essentially to remove the heat pumps that were existing on the rooftop and all of the 4-inch piping and the pumps and the buffer tanks that supplied that heat pump. Then to replace all of those with oversized piping, new pumps, new buffer tanks, new heat pump, as well as a new chiller, which wasn't in the original design. Project started with a large scope of demo, so there were 3 crane lifts over the duration of the project. The first crane lift was to remove demoed pipe, the disconnected heat pump that exists on the rooftop. That's a 20,000 pound piece of machinery that has to be cantilevered over the street. So it was a pretty dangerous lift, so there's lots to engineer in that to make sure it went properly. Originally, that piece of machinery had gone up with the help of a building crane in the center of the building. We didn't have that option, so we managed it from the side of the road with lots of cantilever. It went off beautifully, but we definitely maxed out our capability. The final steps were the chiller, so we had to then lift the final piece of equipment from the other side of the road. So the first 2 lifts happened on Johnson Street. The final lift happened on Yates Street. That piece of machinery was our second heaviest piece of machinery to lift up and out after the existing heat pump. And that one was the final piece of the puzzle. Once that was done, the replacement of the heat pump and the machinery was pretty quick. Beyond that, it was a lot of pipe connections, recharging the lines. There's a significant time that went into commissioning and startup of both machines until they were operating optimally.
Working in the unoccupied building and replacing the mechanical system is a bit of a scheduling nightmare. We have to make sure that we hit the right times of year to turn off mechanical cooling or to turn off heating.
I was nervous that the building being occupied during such a large infrastructure project was going to be a lot more of a problem than it actually was. I am used to doing a lot of tenant improvements inside office spaces with tenants above and tenants below. Being on the rooftop meant we were only disturbing one tenant below when we had to do hammer drilling or coring of any kind. So there was a lot of loud work. We just performed it after hours and it didn't interrupt the tenants below. So I'd say there was 5 days during the whole project spread out throughout the project, 3 of them lifting days and 2 of them electrical shutdown days where we did impact the tenants during business hours.
So the new system is functioning very well. There have been minor teething problems, as with all new pieces of equipment and new systems, but by far fewer than we've had with any of our other air source heat pump installs. The cooling performance has been far more impressive than with other models that we've seen in the past. I think the only real surprise we had with this project was some of the performance data of the equipment being a little overstated when it's being sold. While it says it can do it on paper, doesn't necessarily mean it can do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The original design had anticipated a bit of a lower friction loss in the pipes than was proving to be in actual fact. So initially we anticipated the pumps to be able to run around the 50 to 60% I think range, but in the end we ended up having to ramp them up much closer to around 90% or so. I guess the lesson learned here is to make sure you don't purchase your pumps just big enough. Maybe give yourself a little wiggle room on the upper end.
One of the challenges we had was an electrical feeder issue. So we only had enough power to run one piece of equipment at a time. We have some fairly detailed programming that picks whether or not we rely on the air source heat pump for our cooling, or we switch over to the chiller and maybe a little bit of supplemental heat from the boilers to keep the building comfortable. And it compares the energy performance of both options and then picks when we alternate between the two options.
SES built it in so that the boilers could actually bump up the temperature from 47, which is sort of what the heat pump likes to provide, up to 52, which is what we really require in sort of the dead of winter. That way, we were able to maintain our system temperature without dipping too much into energy costs, and also prolonging the life of our heat pump without running it flat out in the winter. I'm working with SES and Island Temperature Controls quite closely on sort of tweaking the system, but I think time will tell once we start to see the energy usage and kind of how it all functions throughout the year.
So we expect to be sort of fine-tuning and tweaking the system for sort of another 6 to 8 months to really iron out all the bugs, but so far it is looking very good. I think the success of this project was really built on the backs of our relationships with our partners. We engaged our mechanical team and electrical team very early in the design. The feedback that those trade partners provided, the ability of them to speak to experiences they've had in the building and nuances of this building and provide that feedback back to SES so they could incorporate it in the design was really valuable and really led to a very smooth project.
The trades were very clear about their questions, where there were gaps, and the consulting team was very clear about filling those in and coming up to a solution ahead of time.
The trades that we work with had a lot of experience in the building, so they knew what we wanted as a customer. They knew the limitations of what we had in the building and the requirements for working around an occupied building very well. Their involvement in tweaking some of the design, feeling free to offer suggestions, really led to a very smooth project.
I realize that not everyone can have quite the same team network as we do here. Even if you're able to pull in some familiar trades with the project, even if it's just one or two that you're really used to and you have a really good relationship with and a good rapport, that can be really helpful, especially in some of the key positions.
I think what we always learn and reflect on after projects like this is probably twofold. First of all, the benefit that comes from integrated planning that involves not just a consultant sitting in a box somewhere, but working with the service providers, working with the trades, working with the building operators, and really understanding all the nuances of the building and the systems, the sensitivities, the occupant sensitivities, and taking that cumulative knowledge and working together as a team to build the most robust system possible. And I think this was a great example of when that really, really worked well. I'm really happy with how it went on that front.
We have a number of buildings in Victoria that are facing end-of-life mechanical equipment scenario in the next 5 to 10 years. A number of them are fully electric and a number of them are sort of a more traditional gas boiler and electric chiller configuration. And we really wanted to use Atrium to try out an air source heat pump system to make sure that we were feeling very comforted by its reliability and its performance so that we can inform the decisions on where we take our other plant replacements.
As we're moving forward as a company, we're looking at ways in which we can decarbonize and lower our energy usage in our entire portfolio. And we're really using this building as kind of a template for future projects, right from the planning process down to equipment selection and kind of how it all went in-house.
We've been working with SES and BC Hydro since around 2007 and have certainly viewed them both as being key partners to achieving our sustainability objectives. I can't speak highly enough of SES and the leadership role they've played for our organization in bringing us down the path, showing us both the environmental case and the business case for a lot of the decisions we've made, and have been so happy with the outcomes of the projects we've worked together with them on. BC Hydro has been hugely supportive of all of our energy conservation initiatives and has worked with us as a funding partner, a resource in terms of expertise, and supported both traditional and innovative programs, which we've been very appreciative and grateful for.